Welcome to Winter Sowing, the basics. We are going to peel back the layers today and we are going to learn how we take a container like this and go through a whole process that ends up looking like this, setting it outside, and then what? If you are new here, welcome. My name is Kim. I am in Zone 7B 8A, just changed, and I am in Central North Carolina, so welcome. If you are a returner, hey friend, it's so good to have you back. I am super passionate about winter sowing. I think it is the most cost-friendly, budget-friendly way of starting seeds and having gorgeous plants that you can plant anywhere. Even if you live in a townhome or an apartment and you want to start seeds for a small little planter that you have on your patio, this works for that also. We're going to go step by step in figuring out what do we do to winter sow and have success. Today, I am going to take you on a quick journey. The journey from the beginning of what do we need to winter sow successfully. That starts with some materials. And listen, I want to give you a little pressure release, okay? I want you to know that you don't have to use what I recommend. You can go to the Dollar Tree and buy everything. Don't feel like you have to break the bank or have the best materials. I have worked up to this point, and you can successfully winter sow with soil from the Dollar Tree. It's okay, all right? Let's look at the materials and 2 bits of information that you need in order to be on your way to successful winter sowing. So first and foremost, we need a translucent or transparent container. You can even use a gallon Ziploc bag. I even saved this year cat litter containers, a knife or scissors to be able to make your cut on the container. Also, you can use it to poke holes in the bottom. You can jab a knife or scissors into that. I prefer to use a wood burning tool. I got this for about $14 at Walmart this year. But originally I started with a knife and then I tried a drill and a drill bit. Be sure you are careful because these are kind of flimsy. Next, you need to make sure that you have duct tape. That's how you are going to seal the cut that you make and close up your container. Very important. I recommend the duct tape brand. I got this for about $2.50 at Walmart, and they have some really cute colors this year. So, hey, sky's the limit with that if you want to have cute containers. Next, you want to have a marker. You can use the Sharpie paint pen. This is what I recommend. You are going to have your container out in the elements, in the snow, rain, sleet, hail, tornadoes, hurricanes, whatever nature brings, right? It feels like that these days. So I also give myself extra insurance, and I will, most of the time until I run out, I will use little tags and stick one inside as well. You can see one right here. And so I use it to write on this pen to write on these. So you want to get you some labels. You want to have a spray bottle. I got this at the Dollar Tree. It was $1.25. If you are buying a new one, this is small for when you're doing a bunch, and you're going to use this throughout the season. So I do recommend if you can find one, like a bigger one. Every time I've looked, I've not found one. So I do recommend a bigger water bottle if you can find one, a spray bottle. All right, next, you need to have soil. Soil is very important, and you want to have a soil mix. My favorite is the Miracle-Gro in the yellow bag, and I'll put it on the screen right now. And I use a big 5-gallon bucket most of the time, and I'm doing this outside, not in my office. I have used Stay Green. I have used I used a Sam's Club brand, and this is by far my favorite. I don't even know why. I can't tell you why. There's just not a lot of debris in it. So you need to have water to mix and a container to mix it in. And then the star of the show, your seeds. Obviously, you have your seeds. And you may be saying, all right, that's all great. We've got all the materials gathered together. I've got my seed pack, or I've got an idea of what seeds I want, but how do I know what to pick? How do I know what's going to work in my area? And how do I know when to even plant these seeds? Well, then comes the 2 bits of information that you need to know. Number one, our planting zone. I'm going to put the link on the screen right now, and I'm going to put it below. You click on it, put your zip code in, and then you're going to find out what zone that is. It's going to be a number and a letter. Memorize that. Memorize that for anything you do in the gardening world. So know your zone. Next, you need to know your last frost date. And you may be saying, why do I need to know that? Okay, well, let's look at our handy dandy little seeds. These are some snapdragons, and I have no idea when I am supposed to start these seeds in my winter sowing containers, or even indoors for that matter. I am going to look at the back of the seed pack, and I'm going to find where it tells me when to start indoors. So it says when to start inside. Recommended 8 to 10 weeks before your average last frost. Okay, so that means I'm going to go to almanac.com. I'm going to type in my zip code, and I'm going to find out when my average last frost date is. So I've done that. My average last frost is April 10th. So if this is saying you're 8 to 10 weeks before your average last frost date, that means I need to take April 10th and count backwards 10 weeks. And I need to put those dates down so that as I go through the process of starting my seeds, I know when the group that needs to start at 10 weeks needs to start. So some seed packs do you a favor and they give you a map, and you can find where you are and when you should start seeds. There is another rule of thumb that uses your zone instead of having to go through the process of figuring out all of this. And that's what I did the very first year. I just threw caution to the wind, and I was in 7B at the time. And I started all of my seeds at the end of January and then finished up in February. So the rule of thumb is zones 1 through 7B start at the end of January and finish up by March. The zones warmer, which would be 8A where I'm at, and higher, you can start in November and finish up in February. I do not feel comfortable starting anything in November because it's still very warm outside. I am going to go by my weather, and when it starts getting cold, really cold, not just, oh, I can wear shorts today and not tomorrow. When it's cold, I'm wearing jackets. That's when I'm triggered to say, okay, looks like we are now into winter. I'm going to go ahead and winter sow. Well, we are finally ready to prepare our container, to mix our soil, and we are ready to sow our seeds, get them taped up, take them outside, and let nature do what it's going to do. Okay, so one thing I want to say to you before we do anything else is please remember that winter sowing is subjective, and you have to use your best judgment. Okay, you have to use your common sense and know that it's okay. Give yourself some grace and take on the mentality of, hey, what do I have to lose? I've got my seed pack. It was $2.49 half off, and I'm out $1.25 if they don't germinate. Step 1, we are going to prepare our container for the winter sowing process. And what I'm going to do is first and foremost, take the lid off and discard it. I'm throwing it away. All right. Second, I am going to go ahead and burn my holes in this because I'm not going to try and hold it where it's rickety and I'm trying to burn holes in it. It's just easier if you go ahead and do that before you make the cut. I have my wood burning tool. I am going to turn it on. So while that is warming up, I am going to go ahead and write on my container the information that I want to be sure I put on my container. The name of the snapdragons. I also want to put the variety, which this is the Magic Carpet Blend. And then I want to put the date. I am going to use this label and I'm going to use a Sharpie because this paint pen is a little too big. My tripod broke. It fell over in the wind. And so I am doing this with a desktop tripod. So typically I would have it at a different angle. So we're just going to work with what we have, right? I am going to do this indoors, which when you are burning holes, don't do it indoors. Do what I say, not what I do, right? So don't go by my example. I cannot get this outside right now. The wind is blowing so strong and I don't have a tripod. So we're going to just do it really fast and rock on, okay? So I'm gonna put holes all in the bottom and then a few around the side. All right, ready? Watch how easy this goes in and makes the hole. That's that. I'm turning it off. I hope and pray the fire alarm doesn't go off. I'm kind of thinking it might. That it really stinks. Don't do that. Don't do what I just did. Not even to make a video. That was not very smart. So what we're going to do is find where we want to make our cut. We are going to leave a hinge right about here so that our handle, it opens up. We don't want to cut it completely off. If you do, by some strange chance, it's okay too. So I'm going to, because I don't have my knife with me, I'm just going to make a cut right about here, like this. And just get it, I'm going to get it going, right? And then I'm going to stick, as you see that, I'm going to stick my scissors in, and I am going to cut through, stopping right there, like that. Now, you open it up. One thing I need to say, make sure your containers are clean. When you are saving your containers, common sense tells you clean them out. Go ahead and rinse them out. These are all clean. Now that our container is completely prepared, we want to go ahead and prepare the soil. This is the fun part. This is where you're going to get a little messy. All right, are you ready to mix the soil? I just love this. The goal here is to have it the consistency of a mud pie that you can make into a ball, but it's not dumping water. I want to make sure it's all incorporated. So we're almost there, but not yet. So we have added our water, and let's see if we can make a ball and it hold the ball and not water drip out of it, which that looks really good to me. An amazing YouTube viewer made a suggestion and I'm going to try it this year. She said to take a coffee filter and put it in the bottom of the container, and that would keep insects out. So we're going to see, so a filter will allow water to pass through and maybe won't allow the insects to get in. So the insects would be slugs. We have slugs last year to get in. So I am just fitting the filter in the very bottom. We are just going to add it bit by bit. So here's my container. I stopped it below the top. I saved some in case we need to sprinkle over top of the seeds. All right, now we are going to read the back of our seed pack for seed sowing instructions. What we are looking for is any special instructions. Again, if this is not on the seed pack, you need to Google it. You need to understand if you need to cover the seeds or not. So right here, special germination instructions. Light aids germination. Press seeds into the soil surface. That means you don't cover them. Freezing seeds for 48 hours prior to sowing aids in germination. So that means winter sowing is going to be a bonus for the Magic Carpet Blend Snapdragon because it's going to get a lot of freezing temperatures. So now comes the process of sowing our seeds. I'm going to show you something. So we're going to open our container and I want you to see how tiny these seeds are. They look like little poppy seeds. And so you may be wondering, how many seeds do you put in your container? Well, I like to, again, push the envelope, but a good rule of thumb is 10 to 15 of smaller seeds like this, or bigger seeds like a hyacinth bean vine, which is a bigger, it almost looks like a lima bean. You would maybe put 4 or 5 in there. So depending on the size of the seed is what I do in the container. So Because these seeds are so little, what I'm going to do is just sprinkle them. You don't have to do that. You can be very precise in how you lay out your seeds. All right, so I'm going to show you how I press down the soil, make sure that there's no air pockets, and then I am going to sprinkle the seeds, and we're going to close this up and go put it outside, okay? So let's do that. Okay, I'm pushing down on the soil surface just to eliminate any air pockets from being down in the soil, and also to make kind of a solid surface for these tiny little seeds to go in. So next I am going to take and sprinkle the seeds across. We want to take our water bottle and we want to mist the surface lightly. To add our label, I always put it right back here in the back corner. So we have everything done. We have our seeds planted and we have our label in. We have our drainage holes. We have misted the top, and now it is time to close up our container and go and put it in the garden. I am going to get my duct tape. If any of you are dentists, I know, save your comments. I'm not supposed to do that. I already know. I know. Look at that. That's perfection. That is awesome. Okay. And now we are ready to go put our container into the garden. I'm actually out on my back porch. I am going to just set it out on this table right now, and I will go out and put it in the garden, which is back there, in a couple of days once it dries out. We had a ton of rain and I don't want to go and get muddy. I've got to run to a basketball game. I hope that this has been helpful and informative, and that you feel confident in starting your winter sowing, and that I have answered some of your questions and taken it back to the basics so that you feel comfortable. Please, if you have any questions, put those in the comments. I will do my best to answer them, and be on the lookout. I am putting together some ideas that I had for winter sowing, some workshops, some live workshops, and also thinking about putting together a winter sowing community. So if you would be interested in becoming a member of that community where we can really learn and grow together, please let me know. Put that in the comments, and check out my website, The Southern Daisy. And I hope you will give winter sowing a try. And as always, if you liked this video, please consider subscribing, and I hope to see you in another video soon. I have so many more that I'm putting out, so be on the lookout. Go out and get your hands dirty in your winter sowing containers, and I will see you soon. Take care.